Hello, welcome back to the Single Man Chef. I'm Grant, and we're gonna move on now. We've talked about cooking spaghetti. Now we're gonna talk about cooking something else that everybody thinks they know how to do. At least every man in North America seems to think they know how to cook a steak. Problem is, most of them are wrong. Okay, I'm gonna talk about a couple reasons why they're wrong. I love red meat. You'll never convince me that red meat is bad. I'm sure my cardiologist would disagree with me on this one, but red meat is where it's at, really. There's nothing you can eat that makes you feel more like a man in his savage incarnation than red meat. So I'm a fan of red meat. I'm in a household with my wife and two daughters, so none of them like red meat, so I'm on my own. So steak is just daddy's pleasure, and that's the way it is, which is great because I don't have to share with anyone. So we're going to start off by talking about what sort of meat you should be grilling or putting in a pan as steak, okay? Because really, I think personally there's only two kinds, okay? You're either a ribeye guy or a sirloin guy. I'm a sirloin guy. There's a decent enough sirloin, okay? It's pretty lean, right? There's a little bit of fat and some marbling, but just a bit. It's a lean meat. Ribeye is more fatty, and a lot of people say fat is flavor, and they do have a point. Fat kind of is flavor, but we get a lot of fat in our diets, and for me personally, I like the firm resiliency of sirloin better than I do ribeye. I've had a lot of ribeyes that I really liked, but I'm a sirloin guy. You're either one or the other, and I like my sirloin. So that's your choice in meat. What's your choice in wine to go with it? Well, today we're gonna try a little Merlot. It's called the Winemaker's House. It's a blend. It's cheap and cheerful. It's under 10 bucks. It's a BC wine. Of course, for all we know, some of it could come from as far away as New Zealand, but it's there. It's good. And don't believe Paul Giamatti in Sideways, okay? I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot. I believed in that as the gospel for like 10 years. And then I started drinking some Merlots thinking, this isn't actually that bad. It's accessible. It's easy to drink. It's typically pretty light on the palate, like Pinot is. And for every crappy Merlot, in my opinion, there's a crappy Pinot out there to match it. A little note about red wine and white wine and what they pair with. There's a lot of people who still believe, just like they believe that corks are better than screw tops, that white wine goes with red meat red wine goes with red meat and white wine goes with fish and chicken, etc. I think that's nonsense. Again, wine's a question of taste. It's almost entirely subjective. Yes, there are some things in some wines that will accentuate the flavors of some foods, but I don't pretend to be a sommelier. Like people say about art, I don't know art, but I know what I like. And it's the same with wine. If you want to wash your steak down with a Sauvignon Blanc, go for it. I've done that before. Tastes just fine to me. So I'm being a traditionalist here, washing it down with a red, but who's to say a rosé isn't the way to go? Why not, right? So let's get started on our steak. So we picked the right cut of meat. Now we need to prepare the pan. Now, I could go with a grill, okay? This foretop has a grill built into it, right here, okay? Why am I not doing that? I've cooked with grills before, but I don't consider myself a master grill meister, right? I like those little brown char marks that they put on meat. I'm sure we all do. But that's not really the point of cooking, right? Is to put marks on your meat. For me, I'm a fanatic about keeping things moist, whether it's fish, whether it's potatoes, whether it's meat, whatever. Keep it moist. Moist means flavor. I know a lot of people hate that word, but I'm going to say it all the time. Moist, 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 moist. Okay? Moist. So I like cooking in a pan because it preserves the juices. The juices stay around the meat and on the meat. And you can swirl the meat through the juices, right? Which you can't do if you're cooking on a grill. It all drops below, all right? So that's why I prefer to cook in a pan. I just do. So we're gonna start off with some more of our friend extra virgin olive oil. Not a huge amount like we did with the onions because steak brings its own juices. I'm gonna use some lemon and herb spice, right? You know, as long as you bring another spice to the table, it's good. Whatever it is, oregano, you know, dill even, what have you. Flavor's a good thing. But you don't want to make it too complicated either. Simplify. For salt, you might notice I tend to use seasoned salt, okay? Seasoned salt is salt, but with some extra stuff. Again, more flavor comes to the party. And when you're cooking beef, you do want to have those sorts of pepper notes, right? And other spices in there, like paprika, like cayenne, right? That just brings out the flavor of the meat, in my opinion. You could do it just with regular salt, fine, okay? So we've got that. We're gonna heat it up a little bit. And we're gonna cook the steak on medium high, okay? Steak is something that, it's not a roast. You shouldn't be doing it low and slow. You should be getting it on that grill or that pan, getting it on and getting it off. Do it quickly. Swirl that around, let it coat the whole pan. And we're down with the swirl here at Single Guys Chef. And by that I mean we like to move our food around and get it to sop up all that flavor. There's some people who say, put it in, leave it in, don't touch it. I'm not a purist like that. Anyways, when we come back, the next episode, we're going to be talking about first contact of the meat and how to tell that the meat is actually done.